You know, I got into some arguments with people who are like, they're like, look at this photograph, right? It is like a bloody fetus. I'm like, I didn't need to see that, man. They're like, yes, you do. Look at it. Look at it. It's a fetus. Look at it. This is what you're supporting. And it's like, I also support heart transplants. That doesn't mean that I want to look at one. You know, that's silly. All right, I got 2 mouthful mode posts to read. Now, I've changed the name actually to Gunter Gusto, the Gunter Gusto tier of my subscription plan. And if you would like to be read at the beginning of a video, you too can join that tier. youtube.com/AlecGunterTTV/join to take a look at all the awesome benefits you can get by giving me money. It's pretty cool. So anyway, our first post, PSurreal8164 says, I was wondering how you feel about the Republican pushback for abortion access here in Ohio. Do you think it's something they can have any power to take away even though we voted? They would be very hard pressed to do so. They're going to try because they're insane, but it's really not something that can go anywhere at this point. It's already enshrined in the Constitution. It's been democratically voted on. So they would literally have to make a show of, you know, subverting democracy in order to make that happen. So I'm pretty confident that that can't happen. They're just cornered animals at this point. And then the next one from Bad Boy Ryan Cole 670 says, don't let the boys who stormed Normandy roll over in their graves because we were quiet when the Nazis are getting loud again. An appeal to patriotism. It's true. Like, letting Nazis into our country and letting them stay here unbothered is anti-patriot. You know, it's anti-America. So, you know, if you love our boys overseas, you want to, you know, support them and what they do. Remember that they fought the Nazis. You know, being a Nazi is being anti-America, anti-freedom, anti-liberty, anti-all that good stuff. So thank you very much, both of them, for being $5 tier members. I really appreciate it. Yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the video. All right, so if you don't live under a rock, or especially if you live in Ohio, you'll know that we just got 2 very important issues passed through in this past election. So we got issue 1 passed handily, quite handily, which enshrined abortion rights up to the 26-week mark, I believe, into our Constitution. So up to 26 weeks, you can get an abortion, no questions asked. No questions asked. You can just walk up and grab one. You can get it from the drive-thru, right? I'm sure that Planned Parenthood's working very hard on their drive-thru abortion window. But until that's done, you will have to go through the front doors, and unfortunately, there will still be a lot of people getting very mad at you. That being the case, at the very least, you can get one, unlike in Tennessee. And since I brought it up, we will be doing a fundraiser for Tennesseans who need to travel out of state for abortions very soon. So look forward to that. I'll try to get the video uploaded before the fundraiser happens. We'll see. Anyway, the reason I brought up Tennessee, though, is because that's Matt Walsh's home state. Okay, and he has done a very good job. Him and his goons have done very good in his state at keeping those people from not being able to access basic abortion rights. So he did not like what Ohio did, and he is going to make his voice heard. Let's see what our soy boy over here has to say.
It was election day in a few states around the country. It was not a good day for Republicans. This should come as no surprise, as Republicans haven't had a good day on election day since 2018. It's been loss after loss after loss.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Maybe you should get better opinions.
Last night, Republicans lost the governor's race in Kentucky. They lost the state house of Virginia. And the most troubling result of all, they lost on a ballot initiative in Ohio that has now enshrined child sacrifice as a constitutional right. Woo! Reading from the Daily Wire, quote, voters in Ohio voted Tuesday to approve a ballot initiative that places a right to an abortion into the state's constitution. Pro-life advocates say the measure will effectively make abortion legal at any point in pregnancy. The initiative brought in millions in spending with more than $18 million.
So he's saying any point because the specific wording is that it's legal up to the point of viability, and then it has to, the only reason you can get it is if the mom's life is in danger. A measure which, by the way, I've talked about and I disagree with, and I think that it should be legal up until any point for whatever reason. And the reason I say that is because doctors are tasked with, I've said it ad nauseum, I feel like at this point, but doctors should be the ones overseeing these decisions, not the government. That being the case, at least you can get one up to the 26-week mark, okay? That's huge. That is enormous. And I'll take that W 10 times out of 10. Here's the other thing though. If the doctor says that the mom's life was at risk, the state is forced to listen to that doctor. They're forced to. Even if the mom's life wasn't technically at risk and it just would have been a very, 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 very painful pregnancy and birth up to that point, and that's why they decided to stop it, the doctor can just say, yeah, her life was at risk. And they cannot ask questions. And I think that a lot of doctors will probably do that, which is good. Anyway.
Dollars being spent in favor of the pro-abortion initiative, with just $7 million being spent in opposition since August 9th, according to.
Is his beard creeping up his lower lip? I've posted before. He looks like he's got duck lips, honestly. Not like my beard.
News. The effort to put abortion into the state constitution was backed by the Ohio Democratic Party, the ACLU of Ohio, Planned Parenthood, and Ohio's Women's Alliance. Martin Haskell, a proponent of partial birth abortion, gave $100,000 to Ohio Physicians for Reproductive Rights, a political action committee that opposed a Republican-backed measure that would have made it more difficult to amend the state constitution and has advocated for passage of Issue 1. Prominent Ohio Republicans like Governor Mike DeWine.
Oh, sorry, you wanted to f with our democracy? Sorry, buddy.
Senator J.D. Vance spoke out against enshrining abortion into the state's constitution, calling the measure extreme. Now, this victory for baby murder was, of
the camera apparently got tired of looking at his face, and they had to slap it into submission.
Cause for celebration in the media and among child sacrifice enthusiasts across the nation.
Camera.
In Ohio, they applauded and cheered and embraced with tears of joy in their eyes.
Yeah.
Watch.
Abortion is health care.
Oh, got a little candy.
And abortion access is the law of the land in Ohio. Tonight, Ohioans United for Reproductive Rights passed Issue 1 and put Ohioans back in charge of their decisions about pregnancy and abortion. Together, we successfully enshrine the right to reproductive freedom into the Ohio Constitution.
Worthy cause for celebration.
Just imagine reacting that way to the news that children in the womb just lost all of their human rights, because that's what this concept.
Yep, I will happily celebrate the loss of rights for fetal tissue. They do not deserve human rights. And let's say that they did, they still don't deserve the right to attach themselves to people who don't want them to attach themselves to them.
Constitutional amendment does.
That goes beyond human rights.
Children in the womb have no rights at all.
Good.
If you are not yourself a bloodthirsty sociopath, it is impossible.
By the way, that's not even true. You can still get charged for a double homicide if you kill a pregnant woman. And I believe, but personally, I believe that's fine. I think that's fine. You know why? Because that mom wants to have that baby. So we can treat it in some respects as a human. I think that's totally fine. Seriously, I do. I stand by that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that because that mom is fully expecting that baby to come to fruition, right? So I think that's fine to treat that as a double homicide. It's just, it's different circumstances.
Fully imagine reacting this way, which is why if you're like me, when you see them joyously celebrating the mass slaughter of children, you become more resolved than ever to fight and defeat these people.
Point being, fetuses have not lost all of their rights. Just the right to keep themselves implanted into people who do not want them attached to them.
But if you're like many milquetoast Republicans, you become more resolved than ever to cower and compromise and give these people whatever they want in hopes that they will have mercy on you. And that has essentially been the analysis from a great many alleged conservatives since last night.
I hate it.
And before that, they have determined that not only was the result in Ohio an indictment of the pro-life message, but that the other results were also indictments of the pro-life message. In fact, these Republicans insist that every Republican defeat in every recent election is because of abortion. We must abandon the issue.
I think that a large part of it is because of abortion, because most Americans, it's not a secret, even the Republicans know it at this point, that most Americans like access to abortion, and that includes Republicans. Like, they're going to be forced down on this issue left and right every time.
Or compromise significantly on it in order to have any chance of winning, they say. According to this conventional right-wing wisdom, the overturning of Roe in the Supreme Court was not a great victory for human rights, but was in fact a political disaster that is solely to blame for all of the losing the Republicans.
That is true. No, you're being dumb, Matt. That's true. That was political suicide for them to do that. They did it in the wrong order. If you wanted people on your side, you should have just stuck to the trans shit, okay? Because you had your foot in the door on that. You did, you know? But then the Supreme Court jumped straight to women, and it's like, well, half the people alive are women. So like, more than half, I've heard. So that's not going to work. More than half of the people, and you're still a virgin. Think about that.
Republicans have been doing.
Still can't get laid.
The fact that this Republican track record of losing stretches back before Dobbs.
Not Matt Walsh, you, the viewer. I'm insulting you specifically.
Have been getting wiped out since before the Supreme Court issued any decision on this topic has apparently not occurred to these people. Or it has, but they find it convenient to blame pro-lifers anyway. If you turned on Fox News last night, and I'm not sure why you would ever want to do such a thing, you would have heard a lot of this kind of capitulating and blame shifting.
Oh, man. The worst person you know just made a great point.
Here's just a short taste of it.
Democrats are trying to scare women into thinking Republicans don't want abortion legal under any circumstances. And I go back to Pennsylvania 2022, the Republican candidate for governor, if I remember correctly, no exceptions for rape, incest, or the mother's life, and lost to a non-incumbent gubernatorial candidate, Democratic candidate, by a margin that was not seen since the 1940s. So I have to believe that as an indication that the women in America, suburban moms, want it probably legal and rare and probably earlier than, you know, at the point of viability. How do they stop bumbling on abortion? What's the answer?
Well, number one, the Republicans have to clear up this issue across these states with clear lines, like a 15 to 20 week abortion ban with exceptions for life, incest, and rape, and make it clear. You look at states where that is set in stone, and we don't have these problems. We don't have these.
Honestly, if they just stuck with the line that like past viability, it's not acceptable anymore, they would have gotten farther with this, because ultimately their goal is to outlaw abortion completely because they want to control women's bodies. Okay, they would have had a lot more success with their end goal if they had just taken this more slowly. But unfortunately, fascists are not very good at taking things slowly. They have to, you know, this is why they're no good at sex, right? Like they have to immediately jam it through.
Problems in Florida. We don't have these problems in Georgia. We don't have these problems in North Carolina.
I think it's slow
and
sometimes.
part of that is because of that particular issue.
So that's Sean Hannity and Reince Priebus talking about how Republicans can start winning. Now, you may ask yourself, what in God's name do these two know about winning? What wins do they have under their belt? In what way has either of them ever in their entire careers helped conservatism win anything? Serious question. What have they ever done?
Kinda
What
cooking.
victory have they ever achieved? What ideological battles have
Hold on,
they
let 'em
fought
cook.
and won in their lives? What ideological battles have they fought at all? Why the hell would anyone come to them for insight on this issue or any other? These are all very good questions, but unfortunately, they are not alone. The Republicans are losing because of the abortion issue. The issue is unwinnable. Pro-lifers are screwing everything up, and we must come out and endorse legalized abortion in order to win. That is the message
All true
from
things.
many. I mean, you heard.
No,
Hannity.
seriously. Matt Walsh is going to shoot himself in the foot if he does not bite the bullet on this, okay? That's two gun-related metaphors for you. But anyway, Matt Walsh, as long as he sticks on this abortion thing, there's no way. Like, the trans thing's dead. The abortion thing's going nowhere. And he's going to, yeah, exactly. He's going to be holding this L for a while.
Did he say it? Abortion should be safe, legal,
He's
and
going to
rare.
circle the drain with that L
That's what he
in
said.
his hands.
He's literally repeating pro-abortion talking points from the 90s. He's a 1990s Clinton-era Democrat, which is not exactly breaking news, I suppose. But just to be clear, if you are a supposed conservative now saying that we should embrace legalized abortion, that safe, legal, and rare should be our mantra, then you are, make no mistake, advocating for a full-scale surrender on one of the most pivotal, fundamental issues of our time.
Safe, legal, and rare was a very common conservative, like, talking point, because they always knew that an outright abortion ban was never going to be a winner. It just wasn't. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't know today. Before we understood how conception worked, we just assumed, like, for all of human history, correctly so, by the way, that a fetus was not a human yet. It wasn't alive. It couldn't. Now, where we did get it wrong is we thought that it couldn't feel, it couldn't, you know, it didn't have anything there. Like, we thought there was basically nothing there. Now we know that there is something there, and I'm not discounting that. You know, the fetus does eventually develop nerve endings, and it can eventually feel things, and that's why I think that past the point of viability, if you can reasonably save a fetus from a person who no longer wants it attached to them, and by reasonable I mean like it wouldn't cause them immense pain or long-term complications, things like that. And I don't know exactly how the abortion procedure works. That's not my specialty. But if you can save the fetus without any of those complications, then I think you should. I do. But that's, you know, that's not my call to make. I'm not in the room with them. That's why that I think that it should just be held in the hands of doctors, okay? I had an original point and I already forget.
You're free to take that position, but please, for the love of God, don't pretend to be a fighter if you do. You're waving the white flag. You're doing the thing the left never does, and Republicans always do. But before...
My original point was that their motto was always safe, legal, and rare. That would be a winning motto, you know? Like, that people can actually latch on to that. But you're not going to get away with this puritanical bullshit of just no abortions ever, period.
You hoist that flag, let me offer a few thoughts, a few counter-arguments to the Sean Hannitys of the world. First of all, you can blame pro-lifers for the Republican Party's string of electoral defeats, or, again, especially given that this string of defeats began before Dobbs, you can consider instead the possibility that Republicans, by and large, have been running bad candidates and bad campaigns.
That's
especially
also
worth
true.
Considering, given that many of the Republican losers over the past few years have not exactly been pro-life hardliners. In plenty of cases,
Of course, if you're a Republican, you're already a bad candidate. Am I right, folks? Am I right? Oh, come on now, come on.
been essentially pro-abortion. Dr. Oz lost in Pennsylvania. I mean, we heard Hannity blamed the loss in the governor race because supposedly the person was a hardline pro-lifer. Dr. Oz, liberal on the issue in Pennsylvania, and he lost. So how does that work with your equation, Sean? Second, the claim that conservatives should moderate on abortion is not some brilliant new insight, okay? I love all these people acting like they just came up with this. You know, I've just been thinking about it.
That's
I think
also
that
true.
this is not some bold political innovation. This is what the Republican establishment has been saying for my entire life, since I was born and before. The Republican establishment has insisted that the only way to win is to go soft on abortion, compromise, hide from the issue, undersell it, This has
Yes.
been the conventional milquetoast Republican wisdom forever.
Well, if there's another answer, Matt, for one thing, by the way, I do want to commend Matt at least a little bit for standing by his convictions in this moment, even if he can't do it when I ask him a direct question. But in this moment, he is. He's saying, no, I believe that abortion is wrong and we should not compromise on it, period, right? Okay, that's his stance, whatever. The thing is, like, most Americans don't agree with you. They just don't. So even if you're right, you got to find a better package to sell this in. That's the point. So if you don't cede ground on that, you are going to lose. You know, I've had to cede ground before myself on the ACAB thing, right? Unfortunately, most Americans don't say ACAB. They don't say fuck the police. Most Americans trust the police. They do, all right? Now, you can break down that trust slowly over time, as you should try to do. But if you're walking around saying, ACAB, I hate the police. Fuck the police. We can't give them any more money. Like all the time, nobody's going to give you the time of day. They're simply not, even if you're right. Okay, so that's why you have to package it better. That's why I don't say ACAB as much anymore. I still stand by the messaging that ACAB represents. But anymore, I think that it's just not very productive to constantly be shoving that down people's throats when there's like nothing going on, at least in the national news, even though there always kind of is, related to like cops being blatantly and openly bad. It's those moments that that make national headlines that you need to clasp onto and make like content on that. And that's when you say, this is why I don't like cops. You know, you have to be optically favorable.
Does it appear to have been effective? Does it have an actual track record of success? Ask yourself that. The Republican establishment has been losing and scapegoating social conservatives forever.
Of course,
they
he
have
hates
been
democracy.
blaming us for their failures.
All
since
Republicans
always.
do.
This is nothing new. Why would you buy into it now? The truth is that social conservatives are the only ones on the right to have been doing anything or winning anything recently.
Isn't it not even a human being according to the Bible? According to the Bible, it's life at first breath. Let's be real. Christians don't read the Bible. They don't. And to the extent that they do, they just like abstractly grab messages. The guy who sold his daughter into sex slavery or something, and God said it was good or whatever. And it's like, well, the lesson's not that it's good to sell your daughters into slavery. The lesson's that about economics, right? And the art of making a deal, right? Like that shit. So like, you know, to the extent they read the Bible, they don't even really fully understand it.
Not only are we not to blame for Republican losses, but we are the only ones who can claim any wins in the last few years, especially. Who else has done anything? Anybody? Hardcore social conservatives know how to fight the culture war. In fact, we're the only ones on the right who do. Third, this is...
Who the fuck is watching Matt Walsh? Like, what are you talking about? 65K views with 2.7 million subscribers from a day ago? I'm sorry, man. Walsh is beating your ass out of the water right now.
Most important. Before you tell me that the pro-life message is a political loser, answer me this. How many Republican candidates fought back hard and effectively on this issue, actively went after the left, ran ads attacking their opponents for supporting the dismemberment of fully developed infants, which nearly every Democrat does, and actually countered the left's pro-abortion narrative with a strong and affirmative pro-life narrative?
Yeah, that narrative being like 10 pictures of fetuses and graphic imagery of an abortion, a late-term abortion procedure. Because that's all my timeline's been the past few days. You know, I got into some arguments with people who are like, they're like, look at this photograph, right? It is like a bloody fetus. I'm like, I didn't need to see that, man. They're like, yes, you do. Look at it. Look at it. It's a fetus. Look at it. This is what you're supporting. And it's like, I also support heart transplants. That doesn't mean that I want to look at one. You know, that's silly.
How many did that? See, this is the problem. The pro-life message
I also eat meat. Guess what? I don't want to see it getting made. I think that shit's gross.
is being blamed in races where the pro-life message was never even
They're being
articulated.
vegans. They are being
It's being
vegans.
blamed for losing when there was never any fight. Pro-aborts in Ohio outspent the other side nearly 3-1 since August. And that's emblematic of the situation across the country. Our side is
Also, we don't really have a democracy. That's bullshit. Yes, we do. I know that we have a very unstable democracy and it has a lot of problems with it, but we do have one, okay? Don't forget that.
A constitutional republic.
Don't buy that bullshit. That's a form of democracy. Yes, but also like people only say that shit when they're trying to say that no, we shouldn't have democracy. But anyway, my point is we have a democracy. Right, we have a democratic society. And I know that it's not perfect and it's got a lot of problems, but we're way better off than a lot of other countries, okay? We don't have a dictator. Joe Biden was elected into office. And I wanted Bernie, and Bernie got dicked. Don't get me wrong, but he was elected.
lifers are fighting. Republicans are not putting up a fight. So that doesn't mean we can't win. But it does mean we won't win if we don't even try. Consider this. Has any Republican anywhere
They are trying.
run an ad saying essentially, here's
They're trying by ceding the ground on the abortion argument. You have to do that now. It's a losing battle.
what happens in a third trimester abortion? My opponent supports this.
Once again, if I ran for office on the policy that I hate the police and I want to get rid of police stations, nobody's going to vote for me, even if I do genuinely hold that belief. So I'm not going to run on that. And also, I wouldn't, for the record, I would not institute those policies. But even if I were to say, like, this is my strongly held conviction, I want to get rid of police officers because I believe that police officers do bad things all the time and they're bad people, and so we're going to get rid of all the police officers, I would lose. 10 times out of 10, I would lose. I would never win unless it was like by default in some like do-hunk, ho-dunk, whatever, mayoral race. You know, like, this is the only circumstance in which I would win. So you have to compromise on some things for public image. You have to.
This is the most
At least
basic
there's
strategy.
a,
I'm not aware of
at least there's
anyone
a political
who's even attempted
person.
it. Now, I'm not saying that they should show an abortion in an ad because nobody would run it if they do. You need people to run it, but they can describe what the procedure involves. Okay, there's a way to get this message across.
Sure, describe
And it's
it.
just and people don't know this.
This is all ignoring the fact, by the way, that the vast majority of abortions are like taking a pill, and then you have a heavy flow period, and that's it. Because remember, before 8 weeks, the fetus is like a bean. Not even like that. Like, it's bean sized by 8 weeks. Okay, it starts microscopic and then grows into a bean by 8 weeks. And if you take a pill before then, you just flush it out like nothing else. Okay.
A lot of people don't know this. They don't really know what they're talking about when it comes to this issue. They don't know what this issue is. They don't understand. And so, has there been anyone who's run an ad saying, "Look, here's what this is.
Yeah. So
Here's
shove
what this guy
pictures
over
in
here
their
is running
face.
against me. He supports this."
That's what he wants to do.
And so, if you agree with him, then vote for him. You know, if you agree with him on that, I don't even want your vote. But if you're a decent person, then
If you agree with him on that, I don't even want your vote. That's cuck behavior. You should be trying to rack up every vote you can, every single vote that you can. I don't care why people vote for Biden. You know, I don't care if they do it begrudgingly. I don't care if they've got Biden's pubic hairs, stuck up on their walls that they sniff every night before they go to bed. I don't give a shit. It's better than Trump. So if you're voting for Biden, you're on my side. I mean, ultimately, like, doesn't matter to me.
I think you know what you need to do. The point is to go on offense, to flip the script, to flip the conversation, focus it on the horrors and barbarity of abortion and the abortion industry. This has not really been done. It has not really been attempted. Most of the losing candidates have not done this.
Didn't someone make him say a dolphin fetus is a human fetus? That was a comedian that I don't remember who they were. I'm sure somebody in chat knows, but it was Charlie Kirk that was done to.
Not really been attempted.
What's on
Most of the
menu?
losing candidates have not done this. They have hid from the issue instead of going on offense, which is, of course, the Republican specialty.
No, the Republican specialty is calling Democrats like baby-eating fucking monsters. Like, that's usually what they do.
You know, Democrats want to spend their entire time talking about the hard cases, rape, incest, life of the mother, the cases that account for fewer than 1% of all abortions. They focus the whole conversation on that. Republicans
Wait, I've got to run that back.
talking about the hard cases, rape, incest, life of the mother, the cases that account for fewer than 1% of all abortions.
But they still exist. They still exist. So, of course, that's going to be the focus. Let's say it's 0.5%. So less than 1% of all abortions. So how many women get abortions every year? 615,911 abortions were reported. 11.2 abortions per year. It looks, no, wait, not per year. Way more than that. Per 1,000 women. Okay, so 11.2 abortions per 1,000 women. Population of United States, 331.9 million. So we'll say it's like 332. We'll just round it up. So 332 million divided by 2. We'll say that's the number of, times 1 million. Okay, so there's 166 million women in the United States. And there's 11.2 abortions for every 1,000 women. So, okay, so 11.2. So this 11.2 divided by 1,000. Okay, so 1.12% of all women get an abortion. So this times 0.0112. So this is the number of women that get an abortion at some point, right? At some point in their life. 1 million, about 1,800,000. We'll just say 1,800,000. We'll round it down, okay? So let's take 0.05% of this, since it's less than 1%, right? Less than 1% times 0.005. So you got 9,000 women at some point in their life over the course of, well, no, the current number of women existing right now at some point in their life, 9,000 of them are going to have to go through this situation. And that's conservatively speaking. Okay, 9,000 women out of the current existing women. I mean, I can't even fathom that number of women standing in the same room as me, and they matter. Okay, and I'm sick and tired of these ghouls pretending like they don't. So if any of them try to peddle that bullshit of, oh, it's only less than 1% of all women. Okay, that's 9,000. 9,000 women that currently exist that are going through that or have gone through that or will go through that at some point. Statistically speaking, 9,000. And you want to tell me that you don't give a shit about them. Okay. If that's what you're saying, then sure. I mean, that's disgusting, but at least you're standing by it. All right, that's enough math.
They focus the whole conversation on that. Republicans allow themselves to get baited into focusing the conversation there.
Yeah, because they care, unlike you.
Rarely have they responded by saying, we're not going to talk about the 1% of cases until you answer some questions about the 99%. Here's what abortion is. Here's why 99% of abortions are performed. Here's what happens in most of these abortions. Here's what happens in a third trimester abortion.
Most abortions aren't even surgical, I don't think, right? I could be wrong about that. But I'm pretty sure most abortions are just a pill. Like, they're not even surgical.
You need to answer for that before we talk about anything else. We're not going to even talk about
Sure, okay. My answer is I don't give a shit about the fetus. It's not a human.
1% until you talk about the 99.
That's your answer.
That should be the mantra, not safe, legal, and rare. No, the mantra is we're not going to let you people dictate this conversation. We're not going to let you hide from the difficult questions that you need to answer.
I sure dictated the conversation when I asked him my question.
Now, very few Republicans have had the balls or wherewithal or intelligence to respond that way. And so they lose.
By the way, he did not respond that way. Just so you know, when I asked him about that situation, that is not how he responded. So he can't even stand by his own bullshit.
Now, the truth is, for me,
he wriggled out of it like a pussy.
Even if it really did mean losing every election from now to kingdom come. To accept child murder is to forfeit your soul. If we are really a country, if it is true that we are now a country where child murder is so fundamentally popular that it's impossible to win by opposing it, then we are not a country worth saving anymore. Then who cares about this country? Why are we even trying to save it? You're telling me that if that's the country that's like fundamentally grounded in the slaughter of children, where that's as popular as apple pie, and that's the country we're fighting for? No, we deserve whatever destruction's coming our way in that case. I will never accept abortion. I will never compromise on it. I would rather die.
Then you'll lose. Then
That's okay,
then die. Then perish.
But
okay, you'd rather die? Okay. We'd all be better off, man. Seriously.
The good news is that the whole premise is flawed. Okay, it's not. I don't believe that it's true that this country as a whole is so enamored with abortion.
Oh yeah, true. Less than 1% of abortions are third trimesters. So answer for that, right? They're not even like 99% of all abortions take place before 90%, I should say, take place before viability, like before the 22-week mark. So like, what's up? So answer for that. Like, what, do they not matter?
Okay, I don't believe that it's true that we are in fact a country.
By the way, you wouldn't get mad on this because he would just say that it's a child. So don't bring that up.
Baby killers. There are some baby killers in this country. I don't think they're the majority. The pro-life message can win in this country.
Well, if you consider people who get abortions or support abortions to be baby killers, and which this is your terminology we're going with, right? Then yes, the majority of the United States is what you call baby killers. That is a fact, and that's been proven over and over again, and you have to contend with that.
Only if we have the courage to fight for it and the intelligence to fight well. That's where Republicans tend to fail.
Intelligence.
Both in the courage and the intelligence departments.
Something Matt is very famous for.
That is why they lose. And that is why those Republicans are today.
He's not wrong about Republicans being like in shambles right now. I mean, they have factions forming within the current Republican movement about like, oh, should we like give up on the abortion thing? Should we compromise like and say 22 weeks is fine or whatever? Like, you know, and then there are like other staunchly pro-life Republicans who say, no, I don't care. No matter what the circumstance, we cannot perform abortions, period. End of story. We can't do it. And they're fracturing really badly over that. The smart ones are saying like, yeah, we need to compromise on this, because the ones who don't compromise are just going to flounder. Okay. They're going to be irrelevant. I mean, Matt Walsh, you saw, I mean, look at his view count, 65K in a day. Like let's take a look at some of his other videos. I'm sure some of these have like over 100,000, right? I'm not being sarcastic. Yeah. See, that one does. So like, he's not, oh, that one has 700,000. Jesus. Like all of his TikTok reacts. Yeah. When he does the TikTok react shit, that's when he gets the views, of course, because people love watching libs get owned. But most of his videos here, with some exceptions, I have like this one's well, that's 3 hours ago, we won't count that. So like a day ago 65K, a day ago 61K, 110K, 141K, 25K on this one, Jesus Christ. But yeah, I mean, like, he's doing about as well as Walsh does, typically. And Walsh is like a fraction of his size and has been online like a fraction. Well, I don't want to undersell him too much. No, yeah, it's a fraction, yeah. Because Matt Walsh at 2.7 million. So yeah, these guys are falling out of relevance very quickly. But yeah, that's Matt Walsh's input for you on the Ohio thing. I think it's cool, personally, that we get to save more mothers' lives. But Matt Walsh doesn't agree. So agree to disagree, I suppose, Matt. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more, hit the notification bell to be notified when I upload. If you enjoy my content, you enjoy what I do, I really appreciate any financial help that I can get. Go to youtube.com/AlecGunterTTV/join. You got some awesome benefits, such as seeing early videos, awesome emotes that you can use in the comments of YouTube videos, and a sweet badge next to your name. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'd really appreciate if you join. It is cheaper than the cost of a blowjob from your mom. So with all that being said, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.